one courageous step alone helps you to reach the milestone. This particular line is absolutely fit or apt in the context of the chapter Two Stories About Flying. And today we'll talk about first part of that chapter, that is his first flight by Liam of Leharty. This story is about the courage of one bird who was absolutely low in confidence. When we are pushed into a difficulty, for some time we feel bad and we also feel low in confidence. But then we start making some initiatives and efforts. Those efforts take us to the new heights and we come back and gain confidence. In that way, we learn a valuable kind of experience that gives us courage and undaunted spirit. That is the main point that has been shown by Liam of Leharty in this chapter, his first flight. There was one bird who was absolutely low in confidence. His family pushed him into difficulty. That young seagull was finding it hard to fly in the sky. But his mother wanted him to fly and learn how to fly. But he was not ready because his confidence was absolutely low. In that way, he was finding it difficult to come out of that low spirit. And then mother had an idea to push him hard to achieve that success. Initial steps were difficult for him, but once he was given a charm or attraction in form of a small fish, because he was absolutely hungry at that moment. And when mother gave him something as a fish, and that became key to his success. When he saw that particular piece of fish, and in hunger and his quest to know or to satisfy his hunger, he went there and started flying. Slowly and steadily, he flew absolutely nice, and it was really a confident feeling for him. Let's discuss the summary and question answers of this chapter, both in Hindi and English medium.
So students, अब हम बात करेंगे हिज फर्स्ट फ्लाइट चैप्टर की समरी की. चलिए शुरू करते हैं. जैसा कि मैंने आपको बैकग्राउंड में बताया था कि दिस चैप्टर हैज़ बीन रिटन बाय लियम ऑफ लेहार्टी and this is a story of a young seagull who is afraid of flying. A family of seagulls lived on a ledge. Ledge means a narrow shelf underneath a window, and it is also something that sticks out on the side of a cliff or mountain. तो ये ऐसी जगह थी जहाँ पर seagulls की फैमिली रहती थी. A young seagull is left alone as he is afraid to fly and is one among the slow learners. All that this young seagull needed was motivation. उसे सिर्फ motivation चाहिए थी क्योंकि वो एक slow learner था. By way of punishment, his family left him alone on the ledge and flew away. They upbraided him, means they scolded him, taunted him for cowardice, and even threatened to let him starve. He remained hungry for 24 hours and was unable to shed off his fright of flight. 24 घंटों तक वो भूखा था, लेकिन फिर भी उड़ने से जो से डर पैदा हो रहा था उसको नहीं भगा पा रहा था. He cried, begging his mother to bring him some food. She picked up a piece of fish in her beak and flew across him and stood just in front of him. The piece of fish in her beak was almost within the reach of his beak. तो उसकी मदर ने क्या किया, एक फ़िश का टुकड़ा जो था उसे लेकर उसके पास गई, अपनी चोंच में उसे उसने पकड़ा था. Flew across him and stood just in front of him. The piece of fish in her beak was almost within the reach of his beak. उस फिश के टुकड़े तक वो पहुंचने ही वाला था, लगभग वो पहुंचने ही वाला था. The young seagull was mad with hunger. अब ये जो फिश का टुकड़ा था उसने उसे भूख से पागल बना दिया. He dived at the fish. The next moment he found himself falling outwards and downwards into space. Instinctively, he spread his wings and flapped them. अब जब वो उस फिश के टुकड़े पर झपटा तो एकदम से ही क्या हुआ कि उसने ये देखा कि वो गिर गया है. और कहाँ गिरा है? Downwards into space. Instinctively means naturally he spread his wings and flapped them. He soared upwards and all his fear is gone. It was a joyous moment for his family. फिर वो ऊपर की तरफ उड़ा और सारा का सारा उसका डर जो था वो भाग गया और ये बहुत ही खुशी का मौका था सारी की सारी फैमिली के लिए. He forgot that he was ever afraid of flying. वो भूल गया कि कभी वो उड़ने से डरता भी था. चलिए इसके क्विक वैल्यू पॉइंट्स को देख लेते हैं. सीगल फैमिली ऑफ 6 members. The young seagull afraid of flying. The family has concern for his food and fear of flying. फैमिली काफ़ी वरीड थी उसके फूड के लिए और उसके डर को लेकर जो उसे उड़ने से लगता था. Cajoling and provoking of him by family. Cajoling का मतलब होता है परसुएड करना, किसी को मनाना, अग्री करना किसी बात के लिए. The family leaves him alone at the rock. He cries because of heat and hunger. No one looks at him except the mother. Temptation by the mother for a piece of fish. He pretends to sleep but nobody comes to him. Everybody taunts him for his cowardice. The young seagull dives to catch a fish to feed himself. He tries to spread his wings outwards. He begins to fly slowly downwards and upwards. He is now no longer afraid of flying and falling down in the sea. He soars with a joyous scream. Seagull family comes near to him and encourages him. He has made his first flight successful. तो इस प्रकार से हम देखते हैं कि उसकी फैमिली पहले काफ़ी अनॉयड थी उसकी कायरता को लेकर, लेकिन बाद में उसे प्रोवोक किया गया, उसे इनकरेज किया गया और साथ ही साथ टेम्पटेशन भी दी गई और जिस वजह से वो बर्ड जो था यंग सीगल बर्ड सक्सेसफुली फ्लाई करना सीख गया. So let us talk about the important questions. Question number 1 is, why was the young seagull afraid to fly? Do you think all young birds are afraid to make their first flight? Or are some birds more timid than others? Do you think a human baby also finds it a challenge to take its first step? Let us talk about the answer. First of all, we have to understand the question in Hindi as well. So इस क्वेश्चन का मतलब ये है कि यंग सीगल उड़ने से क्यों डरता था. डू यू थिंक ऑल यंग बर्ड्स आर अफ्रेड टू मेक देयर फर्स्ट फ्लाइट? क्या सभी यंग बर्ड्स उड़ने से डरते हैं? क्या सोचते हो आप इस बारे में? और आर सम बर्ड्स मोर टिमिड दैन अदर्स? और कुछ बर्ड्स जो हैं बहुत ज़्यादा डरपोक हैं दूसरों से, या ऐसा भी होता है? Do you think a human baby also finds it a challenge to take its first step? क्या आप सोचते हैं कि ह्यूमन बेबी के लिए भी पहला स्टेप जो है एक बड़ा चैलेंज होता है? तो चलिए इसका आंसर देखते हैं. द यंग सीगल वॉज अफ्रेड टू फ्लाई बिकॉज इट वॉज हिज फर्स्ट फ्लाइट, ये उसकी पहली फ्लाइट थी इसलिए वो डरा हुआ था उड़ने से. एंड ही फियर्ड ऑफ फॉलिंग एंड हर्टिंग हिमसेल्फ. ही थॉट दैट हिज विंग्स वुड नॉट सपोर्ट हिम वाइल फ्लाइंग. उसे ये भी विचार मन में आ रहा था कि उसके जो विंग्स हैं वो भी उसे सपोर्ट नहीं करेंगे. Yes, it is natural that doing something for the first time is a bit challenging and fearful. All birds must be afraid to make their first flight. Similarly, a human baby is also afraid of taking the first step and find it challenging when he learns to crawl or stand up without support. Now we'll talk about question number 2. The sight of the food maddened him. What does this suggest? What compelled the young seagull to finally fly? तो इसको समझते हैं कि जब उसे खाना दिखा तो पागल हो गया. मीन्स ही लॉस्ट हिज कंट्रोल ओवर हिम. व्हाट डज दिस सजेस्ट? ये हमें क्या दर्शाता है और क्या बताता है? व्हाट कंपेयर्ड द यंग सीगल टू फाइनली फ्लाई. और कौन सी ऐसी चीज़ थी, कौन सी ऐसी बात हुई जिससे वो फाइनली फ्लाई करना सीख गया. The young seagull was very hungry. It was this hunger that ultimately compelled it to fly. Its hunger intensified when it saw its mother tearing a piece of fish that lay at her feet. It cried to her, begging her to get some food. When its mother came towards it with food in his beak, it screamed with joy and anticipation. However, she stopped midway. It wondered why she did not come nearer. Not being able to resist hunger any longer, it dived at the food in its mother's beak. At that moment, his hunger overpowered his fear of the great expanse of sea beneath the cliff. Finally, this plunge was followed by the natural reaction of his body, or its body, that is, to fly. Let us talk about next question. They were beckoning to him, calling shrilly. Why did the seagull's father and mother threaten him and cajole him to fly? Seagull's parents had tried everything, but he was reluctant to fly due to fear of falling down. अब देखिए इस क्वेश्चन को अगर हम समझें तो क्वेश्चन में ये बताया हुआ है कि they were beckoning to him, calling shrilly. Why did the seagull's father and mother threaten him and cajole him to fly? मतलब उसकी फैमिली से कॉल कर रही थी और सीगल के फादर और मदर ने भी उसे थ्रेटन किया और परसुएड किया उड़ने के लिए. चलिए आंसर देखते हैं. सीगल्स पेरेंट्स हैड ट्राइड एवरीथिंग बट ही वॉज रिलक्टेंट टू फ्लाई ड्यू टू fear of falling down. He looked at his brothers and sisters but wouldn't make any efforts. That's why the whole family had left him alone and threatened and cajoled him to come. But every effort went in vain. वो सब लोग उसे इनकरेज करने की कोशिश कर रहे थे लेकिन वो डर में इतना फंसा हुआ था कि वो डर से बाहर नहीं निकल पा रहा था. फैमिली के सारे एफर्ट्स जो थे वो बर्बाद हो गए थे क्योंकि जब वो यंग सीगल अपने ब्रदर्स को उड़ते हुए देखता था फिर भी वो उनसे इनकरेज नहीं हो पाता था. Let us talk about question number 4. In the case of a bird flying, it seems a natural act and a foregone conclusion that it should succeed. In the examples you have given in answer to the previous question, was your success guaranteed or was it important for you to try regardless of a possibility of failure? तो इस क्वेश्चन को समझते हैं कि अगर बर्ड फ्लाई करते हैं तो हमें लगता है कि ये नेचुरल एक्ट है, लेकिन जो एग्जांपल आपने आंसर के तौर पे दिए हैं प्रीवियस क्वेश्चंस में, तो क्या उन आंसर्स को अटेम्प्ट करते हुए आपकी सक्सेस गारंटीड थी या ये फिक्स था कि आपको सक्सेस मिलेगी ही, या फिर आपके लिए सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट ट्राई करना था रिगार्डलेस ऑफ पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ फेलियर. इस बात को नज़रअंदाज करते हुए कि पॉसिबिलिटी जो है वो भी हो सकती है किसी चीज़ की फेलियर की. चलिए आंसर की बात करते हैं. We face some problems in the initial stage while learning new skill due to the fear of failure. We hesitate to perform a task or to do something new. In case of the seagull, his parents scheduled him to fly. In the example I have given in the answer of previous question, I was scheduled by my father to learn cycling. So at that stage I was to learn cycling. So students, this was all about the chapter His First Flight, the first part of the chapter 2 stories about flying, class 10th CBSE, from First Flight book. So I hope you have enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for such videos in future. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, that is Easy English by Viren Thakur. Also tap the bell icon to get the notification of the upcoming videos. Stay tuned. Thank you.